Everyone has a unique way of expressing and receiving love. You can create a harmonious and fulfilling relationship with your partner by understanding each other's love language. Hello, Saints. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Catholic Faith Forum. I'm Evelyn Iwuoha, and on today's episode, we will talk about everything about love languages and how it works. Joining me in this discussion is an extraordinary guest we will meet when we return from this break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and this is Catholic Faith Forum. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm Evelyn Iwuoha, and our discussion today is centered on love languages and how it works. Allow me to introduce to you my prestigious guest in person of Mrs. Okeregbe. You are very much welcome, ma. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you for making us some more time. Mrs. Okeregbe is a trained counseling psychologist, practicing over 7 years, specializing in marriage counseling. She's also very passionate about working with teenagers and youth, making sure they achieve their full potential. She is married and blessed with 3 kids. She enjoys spending time with family. Ma, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for making out time. I know that this is weekend and you probably would have enjoyed going out shopping with your children and all of that, but you made out time to discuss this sensitive topic with me. It is a pleasure and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much, ma. So in your years of practicing, I know you must have encountered or met people who have struggled with communication, people who have felt that they have not been loved even in their relationships and marriage. So in your perspective, what is love language?
Okay, thank you for having me. Love language. It's simple. It's the way people like to express and to receive love. The concept, I'm sure you know, I call it the legendary groundbreaking research done by Gary Chapman. That's the person that, the proponent of that theory. So, people, when you understand people's love language, it's easier. I'm happy you brought up communication even before I said so. Yeah. It's easier to deal with them when you know what makes them tick. Love is a universal language. I'm sure you've heard that expression before. Yeah. You can see 2 people that they don't understand each other's, what I call verbal language, maybe a Fulani man and an Igbo man. They meet somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But if they smile at each other, and they're just some love gestures they will make, and you know this is a friend.
Yeah, there's a connection.
There's a connection, you know. So they say love is the language of the heart, you know. So the same thing, love language, you know, with the love languages. So it's very important. You know how people you relate with on everyday basis, what makes them tick, how they want to be loved.
True.
You know, how they want to be loved.
Are there types of love language? I've heard friends talk about communication as something they would like to do. They just enjoy someone checking up on them, calling or texting them. Are there other types aside from communication, types of love languages?
Yes. All the love languages communicate in one way or the other. Okay, though I've seen people bring forward 2 extra love languages and they add communication. I feel all the love languages communicate. The 5 basic ones we know. You have the physical touch. You have physical touch. Such people, they like hugs. They like, they want you to touch them all the time in a friendly fashion. Meanwhile, someone else might not like that. I'm sure when we get to other areas of the program, we'll talk about what people like and what they don't like. Acts of service, we have acts of service. We have people that gifts is everything. No matter what you do, you know, if you don't buy them gifts, you know, it will make sense. Yeah. You know, you also have your quality time, which is very important. You know, so those are examples of love languages.
Talking about quality time can actually vary, because I have some friends who discuss about this quality time. Some people say they enjoy having quality conversations, not necessarily just maybe advising or giving solutions, just want you to understand them. Could there be like more to just the fact that, okay, quality conversations, like buttressing quality time?
Quality time doesn't necessarily, conversation is part of it. When people like to be heard. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever met that friend first of all, I must say, love language is not only for a romantic relationship. Some people think it's just for, it's easier to deal. By the time I knew the concept of love language, by the time I started studying counseling, and I was like, oh my God, I think my siblings and I probably would have had, you know, we had fun growing up, but it would have been easier if I knew this concept. And I know, I have a younger sister, if she sends you her picture, and you make even an innocent comment, just like, this is your lipstick. She's like, what's wrong with my lipstick? Oh, as in, so she, no words of affirmation. How is our own love language? So coming back to quality time, it doesn't just entail conversation alone. Whatever, the person just wants your attention.
Attention, that's the key.
In what other way that person enjoys the attention? The person might even be reading a book and like, come and see this passage. You must turn your eyes to that book, even if you don't like books, and just kind of pretend at that minute till you like it. And in this case, I would say, no, they say fake it till you can feel it. But this time you can fake it, just so that, or fate it, as the case may be. Let's use the word fate. You fate it till you like reading too, because your partner likes reading. You know, so that it is what it is, quality time.
Let's take a break and find out who the saint of the week is. Stay with us.
Our saint of the week is Saint Augustine Zaorong and companions. In the late 1700s, after the death of a number of Chinese lay catechists who refused to renounce the faith even under torture, a Chinese soldier experienced a turn of events that transformed him into the name and face of a vast company of his fellow countrymen who had encountered the Lord. Saint Augustine Zaorong was born in 1746 in Sichuan province, China, and began his professional life as a Chinese soldier. It happened that Zaorong was assigned to a company of guards sent to escort the French missionary, Bishop John Gabriel Turin Dufresne, on the long journey to his execution in Beijing. There was something about this foreigner's bearing, his patience in the face of suffering, and imminent death that struck the soldier. He began to listen to this leader of an outlawed faith. Soon, the soldier asked for baptism, taking the name Augustine. The foreign-born priest was killed, but he had a spiritual son. Augustine Zaorong asked for holy orders, becoming the first Chinese-born diocesan priest. In 1815, Father Augustine followed his spiritual father's footsteps in his torture and martyrdom. If the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church, as Tertullian stated in antiquity, the church was taking deep roots in the ancient land. Waves of persecution followed, each of which brought with it new martyrs. Up through the anti-imperialist and anti-Christian boxer of the rebellion of the beginning of the 20th century, the foreign-born martyrs sealed their embrace of this land and people with their blood so completely, like Father de Capillas, they were counted among the Chinese saints. The 87 Chinese-born martyrs were men, children, and women. The youngest was 9 years old, and the oldest was 79, from all walks of life. There were Chinese priests who rose up in Father Augustine Zaorong's footsteps, like catechists, merchants, cooks, farmers, and an adolescent boy, who at the threat of being flayed alive exclaimed, "Every piece of my flesh will tell you that I am a Christian." Many were offered freedom if they would apostatize and refused. There could be no greater proof that the church was alive in China, or that the Lord had Chinese-born servants filled with courage and love. Jesus had promised, "Where I am, there will my servants be," in John chapter 12, verse 26. This vast company of Chinese martyrs were with him, loving their Lord, their land, and their culture unto the shedding of blood. Saint Augustine Zaorong was canonized along with 120 other martyrs in Rome on October 1st, 2000. Their feast is celebrated on July 9th. Saint Augustine Zaorong, pray for us.
Welcome back, and our topic of discussion is love language and how it works. Just before the break, we established that there are different individuals with different ways of expressing their own love language. And basically, from what you have said, Ma, we have established that physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time are all the various types of love languages. How can one discover their own love language?
Okay, discovering your own language. I think that can happen very early. I know the school of thought will say, give me a child for the first 5 years of life and take the child forever. So by the time a child is in 5, their basic personality, is already formed, So at that age, for a fact what you enjoy. It's when I ask people, when the love language thing caught the air in Nigeria, Nigeria, once they hear a concept, everybody starts saying it. And I had this couple program for Valentine, and the form I gave them to fill, what's your partner's love language? What's your own love language? Some people actually said Igbo, some said Yoruba. Wow. Oh, no, this is, it wasn't a very common concept, at least not around Nigeria then, So, but by the time I explained, there are tests, anyway, psychological tools to help you, you answer. There's this quiz I give to couples when they come to help them find their love languages. But if you hear the definition, immediately I start defining, you look at the concepts, what affirmation is, you're like, oh, okay, that's why I feel bad, why people don't appreciate what I wear. That's why I feel bad, why, they hug everyone and they don't hug me. So those things that don't happen, and when they happen, you feel so excited. When they buy you, and you also watch out for your partner or your friend. There's this thing you do for them and they keep talking about it. Thank you. That hug you gave me is just what I needed. Or thank you. That gift. Okay. Okay, that gift you gave to me. I won't forget it. When is the next gift coming? Wow. So from people's, you can know your own form. If you really look deep down, you know what the different love languages mean. You can easily spot yours. You know what makes you happy. You can.
So if I understand what you're saying, understanding or finding out my own love language is more like trying to relate with other people, because in relating with them, I discover my own. Can I conclude?
Okay, yes, of course. That's the communication. Relating with other people, yes, would help you discover your love language. But let's just leave it at that. Yes, relating will help.
How important do you think the knowledge of love language is to relationships?
It is so important. Though the relationship is just a bit difficult to what. I would cite an example. When I got married initially, sometimes this man is around. Can you? Okay, all right. So sometimes in the mornings, my husband would just like, mosquitoes bit me, or this one, that, or just give it, just excuses. I was like, I have malaria. I would just like do his hand, I was just like, what's going on, and all that. So suddenly it clicked. I was like, you have malaria. You've been working so hard, though. Sorry, is it here? Is it there? And I said, and the man gets well without malaria tablets, Wow. So without even, his own is so physical touch, that hug, that I know what it means to him, So as you interact in a relationship, you might be doing something, the person might appreciate it. Yeah. There are some people, if you don't gift them, in fact, culture builds them like that. I think we also get to how culture affects love languages. Yeah. In some cultures, like if a man wants to ask for a woman's hand in marriage, if you don't buy gifts everywhere, it's already been put in the girl child from when she was young that this person is, when she should bring gifts. It's his duty to gift you. So, and the culture has kind of stereotyped that person to know gifts. Gifts is certainly their love language. So when the person is doing all kinds, maybe it's that kind of husband that helps around the house, which is a big deal for me, acts of service, you love me, you relieve me of my tensions. Wow. It's as simple as that. You must like, what are you doing now? What are you writing? Can I help you type that? To me, that's so love. You can buy gifts from, give me a gift. I'll just say, thank you. I probably will not use that gift in 6 months. Some gifts my husband will buy for me, he would have told me, when are you going to use that thing? So I started using them just to encourage him, not like I don't care about gifts. So it's important. The person might be helping around the house, and her wife's love language, she just wants you to go out and bring a gift when you're coming back. So nothing you do, she just feels she's grateful, but she's not feeling totally loved because she's not expressing. And there's this mistake that comes up. People want to express love the way they want to receive love. It's not necessarily the way you want to receive love, your partner wants to receive love. So it's something worth observing, and how to find out how they receive love. Those complaints they make, that maybe a couple, they are having a little argument. And when last did you even pay me any compliments?
That's it.
You know, that's a sign. You know, even when you come back from work, you can't even hug someone. I don't even know. Are you the only one that passes through Lagos traffic? You know, that one needs hug. You know, but some people, you know, hug is not their thing at all. Even for your children, you study their love languages, you know. It just helps the relationship roll. My eldest daughter, in fact, when they were very young, when I'm hugging them to go to school, see you, catch you. Like, where is this girl? Let me hug her. She just said, Mommy, I'm already downstairs. As in, she doesn't send me and that my hug. You know, so gradually, in fact, when her siblings want to punish her, they'll say, all of us, let's hug her. You know, so they'll jump on her. You know, she's like, don't hug me. I don't like hugs for whatever reason. You know, so knowing what makes someone tick. In fact, in funny, in pidgin language, they will say, you know the person's move button. When you know their love language, you know, so it is what it is. It's what makes a relationship roll. That's it.
It's now time for our Know Your Faith session. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Know Your Faith. I'm Jeffrey, your host. So today we're asking a question that is very common among Catholics, but some Catholics don't even know the answer to it. They just feel, everybody they do no do too. They play. So the question is this: why do Catholics abstain from eating meat on Ash Wednesday and on Fridays in Lent? According to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, paragraph 2043, the practice of fasting is offered to us by the Church to help us acquire freedom of heart and mastery over our instinct. In the 9th century, year 866 to be precise, Pope Nicholas I made Friday abstinence from meat a universal rule of the Church. By the 12th century, abstinence and fasting on Friday for penance as well as in memorial of Christ's Passion were common practices. Most Catholics were bound by the rules, even children as young as 12. Also, meat can be seen to represent the flesh. Jesus sacrificed his flesh on Good Friday. Therefore, abstinence from meat honors the sacrifice Jesus made on the cross. Note, all Catholics over the age of 14 must abstain from eating meat and all foods made with meat on all Fridays of Lent unless they have health reasons that prevent them from doing so. Also note that Catholics are only prohibited from eating meat, that is, the flesh. Other dairy products like egg, milk, butter, cheese, and so on, and fish also are allowed. So guys, here are the key notes to take from this video. If you know your jotter before, go and get your jotter because you start jotting things down now. Number 1. The tradition of not eating meat on Ash Wednesday and Fridays in Lent is a form of penitential observance for Catholics. Number 2, it is done in memory of Christ's Passion. And 3, dairy products like egg, milk, butter, cheese, and so on, and fish also are allowed. 4, all Catholics who are 14 years of age and above are obliged to abstain from meat on Ash Wednesday and Fridays in Lent, unless in cases of health issues. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. Till next time, be bold, be Catholic.
Welcome back, and just before the break, we were talking about love language as it cuts across culture, as it cuts across parents to children relationship. So right now, in the aspect of culture, I remember times in the classroom when I'm with my mates or when I'm on hangout with my friends, there are discussions about, I don't want to marry an Igbo girl, they ask for too much money and stuff. And this thing about the stereotype that the receiving of gifts is a necessity. How do we change the ideology that, okay, it's not a bad thing to marry an Igbo girl. You can marry as long as you love her. But how do you change that perspective from the minds of young men who really want to go for what they want as pertaining to receiving gifts?
Well, like I always say, stereotyping is bad in any form, whether you're receiving or giving it, you know. So allow the Igbo girl, meet her, there's no harm. It's not like the first day she meets you, she brings out a knife and say, propose. You know, she's not doing that. It's all about talking, like in the workplace like this, one person observing the other, and the person just knows that she's an Igbo girl, but she's different. You know, I know Igbo girls that, you know, are quite, you know, they are not into this and, you know, spend so much money thing and all that. Times are changing. Everybody is very wise now. That's the truth. So I think that Igbo girl should be given a chance. All of them are trying to manage and, you know. So, but culture has, you know, from that, actually, you know, Africa is a communitarian, you know, kind of living society, what the culture says, what the society says, you know. So the culture of a people affects the way they see love. There's this very funny story, like if a Chinese man is in love with a girl and the girl is in love with her, maybe from another part of the world, and the man brings flowers on the first date, and the girl says, oh, what can I buy for him? And brings handkerchiefs. Handkerchiefs in the Chinese language, I saw it somewhere, I want to believe it's right. Okay, in the Chinese language means goodbye forever.
Wow.
Yes. You know, so sometimes even symbols, what things symbolize, when it comes to culture, is the way of life of a certain group of people. It's not generalized, you know, so it still boils down to studying each other. Give your love a chance. If you saw someone and the person made your heart tick, then I think you should follow up that tick by observing the person and see whether it will tick again. So that's how I see it.
I would like you to buttress the point on the application or the understanding of love language as regards parents to children relationship, when you cited an example of your daughter who does not enjoy the physical touch and all. So what would you say to parents in making effort to actually understand their children's love language?
You know, it's so important. As they say, it makes parenting so much easier. And this thing we do of thinking all children that come from the same womb must have the same personality. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. If you observe all your children, you notice they are unique, and so is their love language. I've told you about my daughter that, you know, doesn't like physical touch. I'm hoping that will change. You know, she's trying now. You know, I've explained to her that there's need for physical touch at some times. You know, so my youngest daughter, she was so huggy when she was small. Even me that I love hugging, I was just so tired. And she would hug you so tight, coming from school with all the sweat, hug you so tight. I used to just almost like, oh my God. You know, so I was like, how this is not how you hug everybody outside? You know, that this is just so intense. You know, but gradually she struck a balance. She's in her early teens now. She has, you know. So it's important because it helps you know when you want to reward that child. You know what to do. If it's a child that has gifts and you want to reward the child, well, you know what to do exactly. If it's quality time, you can sit down and like, so what's been going on in your life? And the child just starts talking non-stop. And you listen with those people that want quality time. You listen with undivided attention. Your phone should be under the chair. If they see your glance going towards, if you are dating them and they see you looking at phone, that's how, I think your phone is more precious than me now. You know, you know, that thing that I'm saying like a joke, and it can pull the relationship down. So it's the same thing with parenting. You know, parenting is a journey. Parenting is a long conversation that is ongoing. So knowing your child's language, I would say a language of the heart, what could be more important than that? Because you know when to even use it. I don't want to say, of course, manipulation is not a good thing, but you know how to encourage her to even be nicer than she is when you know her love language. Because you speak directly to her heart when you know her love, or his heart when you know their love language.
Thank you very much, Ma, for sharing from your wealth of knowledge. It's a pleasure to have you here and, you know, discuss and dissect love language in all of its course. I am amazed that you know now and you're enlightened about love language and how it works. We have come to the end of our discussion. Thanks to you, Ma, once again, and thanks to you for staying to the very end. Do not forget to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and follow us on our social media handles at CFF on TV, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have suggestions and comments, drop them in the comment section. Till next time, I remain Evelyn Iwuoha. Keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye-bye.